person is in prison, their ID, your prison ID is everything. And so the future ID would be looking beyond that ID into something that you weren't even thinking about you can dream of.
For 12 years maybe, in my life total, I was just 14,854. You know, I wasn't Eloy Martinez. It's important for these projects like what's happening right here today. Most people don't want to talk about incarceration because it's staying on you. But you can take that stain and make something positive out of it.
In the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, you are given one ID. If you tamper with that ID, that is a disciplinary 115 serious rules violation. But here, they define their ID because they are free.
When many of us left prison, we had an identification card that labeled us a number. And along with that number, the identity of convict, prisoner, inmate, all these other negative things was placed on us by somebody else. So to be in a space where there is the focus of reimagining your identity, it opens up a whole different dialogue.
The artists were standing by their work, and people came through here and engaged them in conversation. They were in awe that this individual done spent decades in prison and came out and produced something this fantastic.
The Future Ideas at Alcatraz project is designed by and with individuals with conviction histories as they conceive and develop a vision for their future selves. Project began with the Anti-Recidivism Coalition, and over 4.5, 5 years has grown to a multifaceted initiative with more than 20 community partners. One of the things that the group spoke about early on was if part of the difficulty and stigma of re-entering society after incarceration is a cultural problem, what do cultural solutions look like and how could we find them together? A lot of the really powerful work that the individuals in this collective, what they were very effective at was telling their individual stories of transformation to convince elected officials that rehabilitation was possible. One of the core project collaborators, Dominic Bell, told this amazing story about being in Sacramento and meeting with a busy senator before the senator voted on a bill.
So I put out my prison ID and I put out my college ID from LMU. And he simply looked at it and was like, enough said. I think that that's important. Sometimes you don't have to say anything. You can just show them something.
Later on, when that senator voted in favor of that bill, he acknowledged that moment when he had met that young man in the hall. And so we started making ID cards. The very simple parameters that we asked was that it allude to the formal shape of an ID. And that way it would hold together visually as an exhibition. People make an ID or are invited to make an ID and make it for themselves. And then if they choose, they're also invited to donate it to the ongoing public service campaign.
Being in this space right now, I cannot help but stop and think about the individuals that were actually serving time in here. Could you imagine if they would have known one day this space was going to be used for something like this?
National Parks and Parks Conservancy has a 10-year plan for Alcatraz that talks about making the island available. Alcatraz has been designated as an international site of conscience where it preserves the kinds of past struggles of this island and as a space of reflection for human rights issues and justice issues. We've invited a lot of different groups to come in and do plays, to do performances, to have roundtable discussions. This exhibition was designed as a container for a range of activities to use the history of Alcatraz as a platform, as a springboard for some piece of work or investigation that they had. We also have Alcatraz visitors. Some days we'll have well over 1,000 people who come through the space. This may be the closest they ever get to a prison. And so we find that there's a certain poetics in that space of intersection of journeys.
Participating in this project has given me such a beautiful sense of purpose. And I know that I can use my experience to relate to others. I get to share a piece of me.
I see it growing. I don't feel that sense of imprisonment here. I don't feel locked off from the rest of the Bay Area. It's come alive as an integral part of California's history.
This is 100 individuals who are making artworks about their future dreams. Embedded in them is some piece of their history, where they've been, where they're going. 1.7 million people visit Alcatraz in a year. Maybe we have 500,000 come in here. That's a lot of reflection. There's all those community groups that have done programs. Maybe we've amplified something they're doing, and then another audience, but the primary audience is all the people who are still incarcerated or the people who are inside the system.
It's a bigger conversation. I think this is just a seed that we planted. But we need to see this go inside of the prisons, inside the juvenile detention centers, and get people to start to reimagine their life.
Don't lose sight of who you are. Emotions are blinding, but so are the stars. Nobody's perfect, I'm certain we are flaws. Love who you are, be you. Love who you are, be you. Who are you? Who am I? Who are we? How you're perceived individually is your identity. But do you know what's seen? And because you are you and I am me, that means we are individually unique. Yourself is the best way to be. Love who you are, be you.